welcome to this short video that I am filming to help you in your quest to conceive, or at least I hope it might help you in your quest to conceive. I know it can be a really tricky and troublesome time when you're desperate to fulfill your dream of bringing new life into the world, and yet it doesn't happen as easily as you might want it to. So let's practice, shall we? So how about we start in a comfortable cross-legged position. This is called Sukhasana, and actually I do laugh because sometimes this is not comfortable for people at all, so if necessary just have your feet out like this, your legs just gently apart from one another. But otherwise, here we go. And maybe we just close the eyes here, okay? So closing the eyes, and let's take a falling out breath together. So a breath in through the nose and out through the mouth. And just take a moment just to notice how you're feeling within yourself. Because it can be an emotional time actually. You can question yourself and your ability to conceive and worry if there's something wrong with you or whether it's just not meant to be. And there can be a sense of panic as well, that maybe it will never happen. And maybe you've waited a long time to get to this point where you might have met someone with whom you want to bring new life into the world. You might be about to embark on IVF, example. So we notice how we're feeling, we notice our body and how our body feels. So some of you might be feeling some discomfort in your hips right now or in your knees. I mean, I hope not. If you are, then just release from this position because it won't be helpful to suffer here. And let's just notice the roundness of our pelvis, shall we? So notice the roundness of the pelvis. And let's notice the roundness of our rib cage. So notice your shoulder blades on your back and see if you can just kind of unstick them a little bit. And notice your armpits, see if you can find more of your armpits. And you've got one arm bone in each upper arm. See if you can almost take those arm bones, one each side, sort of deeper in the shoulder joint. See if you can free a little of your collarbone. So you start to sort of notice the fullness of your rib cage and you've got the fullness of your pelvis. And let's just discover more of that almost as we take hip circles. This is a real favourite of mine. It's often used as a biodynamic exercise for freeing kind of stuck energy in the sacral chakra. So here, maybe we inhale, don't worry if you're not, but maybe we inhale from left knee around to right knee. And exhale from right knee back around to left knee. And really trying to get, some movement. So we might think of the womb space then in the sacral chakra as a sacred lake. Like, see how that settles with you. The idea that you could have something that you have, that you have something sacred within you. And we think of it, the sacral chakra is represented by the element of water. So trying to really connect into that, because of course it's the womb space which will be home to baby should you conceive. So, anything that we can do to promote kind of a welcoming energy in this particular part of the body is to be encouraged, If that area's really like too hot, then any kind of anything that goes in there is just going to burn up. Maybe it's really sticky, like too sticky, so therefore it won't, it won't allow the stickiness or prevent new life from growing. It's really, it's a degree of Ayurveda there in that. Now Ayurveda can really help us if we're trying to conceive. If there is too much heat in the body, for example, it can help to reduce the heat in the body. It can be responsible for miscarriage, for example. And if there is too much kind of phlegm in the body, it prevents maybe you from becoming pregnant because maybe the sperm, for example, can't move so easily within you. It's not move, is it? Swim. They swim. Okay, should we change direction? Shall we go anti-clockwise? So we have to start really paying attention to what's going on. If we're holding a lot of shame in that area of the body, if we've if something's happened to us, if we've suffered with any kind of sexual abuse or termination at some point in our lives, then, that can play a really real, it can have real implications for us when it comes to conceiving, like our emotional landscape. and especially our repressed emotional landscape. You know, if we've experienced pain already in the quest to conceive, then it can, on some level, unconscious, prevent us from going there again, because it's just too painful, as much as we might say that we want to conceive. And we do, but yet there's a part of us that's still holding on to that, you know, that idea that it's painful, and so best not to go there. So sacred lake, and here we are circumnavigating that sacred lake. So beginning to recognise the sacredness of our body as this place where new life can grow. I mean, that's quite something, isn't it? Okay, following your next exhalation, let's just return to the starting position, just feel into it. So feel into the body. Some of you will feel a shift. You might feel a heaviness maybe, but you might feel like an uncomfortable feeling around like the womb space in the sacral chakra below your navel center, above your pubic bone. Some of you will feel a lightness. Just notice whatever shows up. Let's change the cross of our ankles, shall we? So I tend to practice a lot with my eyes closed, so I can just really get into my body. So I encourage you to do the same. Now here again, just movement, just gentle inhaling, coming forward with your torso a little bit, with the tummy, with the chest. And then as we breathe out, just going back with tummy and chest. So there's almost a rocking on the sitting bones and the tailbone, almost stimulating your root chakra. It's really important if you're trying to conceive that you've got your feet on the earth. Okay, so spending time in nature can really help you, not only to calm you actually, but to ground you, ground your energy. Maybe going for Reiki or Shen or a treatment like that will help energetically to balance your chakras and get the energy moving. I mean, personally, I think Ayurveda is essential, or really helpful then, not necessarily essential actually, but really helpful when you're trying to conceive. So making sure that you're doing all you can from a diet and lifestyle perspective to promote natural, I say natural to promote fertility. I mean, even if you're going through IVF, it can be really helpful just to support the process. And of course, looking at emotional landscapes, so the bark, floral remedies can really help us with that. Even just taking rescue remedy can be really helpful. Helping to release any emotional stuff that might be preventing you from conceiving. Even if it's just the fear of not being able to conceive. Okay, shall we come back to the starting position and after your next exhalation? And then from there, shall we just release the legs ahead of us? And then let's just turn the legs in and out, shall we? Just finding movement, seeing how that feels. So the thigh bones moving in relation to the hip joints. And then let's just keep the left leg forward if you can. Maybe have a little bend in the knee so you can see more of your kneecap. And then let's just slowly bend into the right knee. So trying not to overuse your thigh muscle, your right thigh muscle, so that you start to take your thigh bone almost deeper into your hip joint. And then the right foot can sort of slide in. Okay, so now my right buttock's lifted up away from the mat. Some of you might find that. My hands are there to support me. I'm trying to keep the fullness of my shoulders. And I'm going to take a breath in, and as I breathe out, and I'm going to keep breathing because it's not going to happen just in one round of breath. From the hip joint, so the thigh bone, it's a ball and socket joint. The thigh bone, the head of the thigh bone rests in the socket of the pelvis. I'm going to let that move, so the thigh bone move in relation to the socket, so that my right knee starts to move towards the right side of the mat. But you see what I mean? I'm not just moving the right knee. I'm really going deep into the thigh bone in relation to the pelvis. And then at some point my foot feels to lift away from the mat or just peel away from the mat. But at no point am I letting my knee just kind of hang out. So I'm thinking about a spacious knee. Thinking about deepening my right thigh bone in my right hip, and I'm not stretching then through my inner thighs. Okay, these are the kidney meridians. They can get really tight with fear and anxiety. So I'm going to keep those soft. Okay, I'm not going to be cruel to myself. That's the thing. We're trying to cultivate greater kindness and respect for the self and for our body that's going to be the home of our baby at some point. So don't lose faith in that. Okay, let's breathe. For some of you this will be really easygoing, and others of you will find this quite difficult, and you might start to feel tension in your left leg. So maybe we stay like this, or depending on how it feels for you, without rounding your upper spine, you might slowly take a breath in and a breath out. And it's almost like you're collecting from the top of your head to the base of your spine. So you're coming in on yourself, you're coming home to yourself. And in the process, maybe your torso comes forward in space. So just really notice as well, like what you're doing in your life generally. Like if you're rushing around a lot, if you're not present to your body, if you're just trying to kind of fit it in, this idea of conceiving, then it's perhaps not helpful. You might need to just slow down. So these practices, these slow practices can be helpful in that. And so you also really notice what's going on. So you're breathing, you notice your agitation, your frustration, you notice your anger, you notice your tiredness. Okay, so we'll take a breath in and a breath out. And come all the way back up from here, and then we'll gather the right knee up towards the chest. And then what I think we might do is just pop the right foot over on the other side of the left leg. And we'll take a twist from here, so we'll keep the roundness of the pelvis and the roundness of the chest, and we'll take a breath in, and as you breathe out, just start to turn from your centre, your chest to the right side of the room. Your right hand might go around the back. My left hand's just going to rest around my right knee. So you're not pushing, you're not pulling, you're not, you're just being kind. That's the word that comes up, compassionate to yourself. I mean, that's one thing we learn, I think, on this quest to conceive, is that we can't force it to happen, and it can be the most frustrating thing in the world if you're used to achieving and making things happen. To then find that you can't. So we have to cultivate patience and acceptance. And huge letting go. So we'll take a breath in here, and as we breathe out, let's come back to the centre, and then gently release your right leg. Just keep a little bend in your right knee. Keep a sense of ease through your right thigh, and then let's have a go at starting to bend into the left knee, but without overly clenching, like activating, gripping through your thighs. So you almost end up sliding the left foot back, and the left thigh bone deepens in the left hip joint there. And remember, it's a ball and socket. So from there, it's almost like I'm spiraling, okay? Spirals, there's spirals all over the body. New life, spiraling. Just go outside and watch nature in spring, how it unfolds. So I'm spiraling through here. My foot's going to come up at some point. And here I am. So it's kind of preparation for Janu Shirshasana, and you might just stay here, where it's actually Shirshasana, different S's. Anyhow. And then you might decide that you want to take it further. So my left foot is attentive to my right leg. I'm not gripping in my right thigh. I'm still spiraling through my left thigh bone. And then I'm keeping the roundness of my chest. I'm taking a breath in and a breath out. I'm not trying to get anywhere. I'm just experiencing what's happening now. Noticing my body, what it feels like to be in my own skin. And I'm breathing. Really notice your breath. And if you feel to yawn or sigh or scream, then let that come, let that go. If you need to cry, then cry. Okay, and then I'm going to take a breath in and a breath out, and a breath in and a breath out, and you come all the way back up. And then I'm just going to slowly gather my left knee back to the centre, and then take my left foot to the outer right leg. And being attentive through the feet, finding the fullness of my pelvis and my chest, and I'm going to take a breath in, and as I breathe out, I'm going to turn my chest towards the left, right hand onto left knee, left hand around the back. Breathing. So So here we're kind of wringing out the internal organs, wringing out the emotions. And then we'll take a breath in from here, and as you breathe out, return all the way back to the center. And then we'll release, shall we release the left leg? And then let's just bend into the right knee again. And again, sort of in the same way, so not gripping the right thigh, almost sliding the right foot up the mat. So not being in a rush, notice that rush. It's fine, but just notice it. Okay, and then let's see if I can find that movement of the thigh bone in relation to the hip joint again. So I'm not stretching through my inner thigh, I'm finding ease and connection, deep connection here, womb space. And then I'm going to do the same on the other side. It's trickier when you do the same on the other side when you've already got one leg in that position. So I'm almost sliding the left foot up the mat to take the left thigh deeper into the left hip. And then I'm going to explore what happens when I start to take the left knee to the left side of the mat, again without stretching through my inner thighs. So finding the roundness here. Can you see me doing that? So there's like, it moves outwards. And at some point my left foot's going to come away from the mat. And again, there'll be a tendency, especially if we practice yoga a lot and we're used to like pushing down and trying to push ourselves into positions. But I'm going to ask you just to be with wherever you are. Here you are. And then we've got a little mudra sequence here if you're able to. If you need to have your hands on the mat to support you, then stay here. Otherwise, this fullness of pelvis and my hands together at the heart. And then I'm going to take a breath in here, and as I breathe out, I'm going to take yoni mudra, so thumb and index finger together, and I'm literally going to run that down my body because I'm okay with doing that. I used to not be okay with doing that, but I'm okay with doing that now, through the womb space down to earth. And then I'm going to inhale it all the way up to my crown, where I'm going to create a lotus flower. So thumb and little finger together, and then I'm going to exhale back down to the heart. Okay, so it's a process. So we take a breath in. Breathe out, yoni mudra down the body, making peace with our body. There it is, through the womb space to earth. And inhaling, bring this triangle of creation that's earthed up to heavens, creating the lotus flower conception. And then let's bring that feeling of joy to the heart, fulfilling our dream. We'll take a breath in. Breathing out, yoni mudra down the front of the body to the earth, and then inhaling, bringing that all the way back up to crown, creating your lotus flower, and exhale back to the heart. And then we'll take a breath in here, and as we breathe out, we'll release the hands. Now without stretching the legs apart, almost coming away from your edge and just opening through the backs of your knees. And some of you might want to keep your knees bent. I would suggest, actually you might have no choice, that's what I mean, in keeping the knees bent. But try and keep the kneecaps, even if you're going to start to open the back of the knees, try and keep the kneecaps. So you're not pulling the legs away. It's a deep connection actually from knees, almost thigh bones going deep into the pelvis. So there's a roundness here, okay, roundness. And then shin bones going away to the feet maybe, or feet coming up to the knees, you know. So there's all these connections, and there's the fullness of my chest. My heart's open, I'm not pulling the shoulders back to open the heart. There's ease through the collarbones, through the shoulder blades. Okay. And then there's one other mudra we can do here, which is quite helpful. So hands together at the heart. So mudras, if you don't already know, they're gestures. They invoke an energy. So here we take a breath in with the hands together, and then as we breathe out, we bring the backs of the hands together, turn the fingertips down to the mat, and exhale, we take the fingertips forward. Then we inhale, kind of reverse, but we take a lotus flower this time, and then exhale, hands to the heart. So it's kind of like the fertility journey in many respects. We take a breath in at the heart, and then we have no idea where we're all going, upside down, back to front. There we go, out into the world, and then we come back, taking another breath in, not sure where we're going, upside down, back to front, lotus flower, I dream coming to fruition, and exhaling to the heart where all is well. So one more time, take a breath in, exhaling, inhaling, coming back, lotus flower, and exhaling. So the journey to conceive is preparation for motherhood, I think, for the pregnancy actually, for the, you know, the fact that you're also feeling a little out of control during pregnancy and definitely during motherhood. So it's all part of a process. You have to trust in that. It's preparing you for something, to be a mother, I guess. Okay, so don't give up on that. Let's, a bit like we did in Janu Shirjasana, so collecting from tailbone, top of spine. So not doing this and rounding your spine, and not doing this and flaring your chest, but taking a breath in and a breath out, and kind of concertinaing in on yourself, keeping the kidneys at easeful, not gripping around them. And maybe the torso comes forward in space and down in the process of collecting in on yourself. Maybe it doesn't, maybe you just stay seated tall like I am right now. Breathe, just breathe. Doesn't matter what the breath is like. We're not going to get caught up in form or what's right or wrong, but we are going to breathe. And somewhere on my website will be some tips for coming to know more of your menstrual cycle to help you when you're trying to conceive, and also tips for those of you who are maybe having to explore IVF, or, I mean, those tips will be helpful for those of you who are just, you know, trying to conceive naturally. Okay, we'll take a breath in and a breath out, and a breath in and a breath out, and we'll come all the way back up from here. And then hands to the back of your knees, just gather your feet back onto the mat. And then let's take 3 rounds of Brahmari breath here. So maybe your fingertips cover your eyes, your upper arms rest on your knees, and your thumbs close your ears. And 3 rounds of the bumblebee breath. It's really calming, really helpful during this time. So you want to do whatever you can to reduce your stress levels. Okay, so this will be really helpful. You could do more, but let's just do 3 together. So we're going to inhale through the nose and then hum, basically. We'll do that 3 times and then come down to lie on your back. Okay, so let's go. Down onto your back, and then maybe just bringing the knees in towards the chest and having your hands resting on your thighs or your shins, or wrapping the arms around your thighs or shins and just gently rocking from side to side. Taking a few deep breaths in and out. And then let's just rest. It's so important to rest, honestly. I can't tell you how important it is to rest when you're trying to conceive. So you could rest with Yoni Mudra, the mudra on your womb space, so just below your navel centre, above your pubic bone, or bones I should say, or you might just rest in Shavasana. You could also, I tell you what's also really helpful actually, now I think about it, is resting, I'll demonstrate, with your legs up the wall. So you might just go sideways to a wall, sit sideways, and then just very gently bring your legs up the wall. It can be really nourishing for your room space actually, and you could even take Yoni Mudra here. So any one of these positions, and then just play some really beautiful music, calming music, or stick on one of my, play one of my free relaxations or yoga nidras, or just be in silence actually. So I'm going to leave you here, but please do take 5-10 minutes if you can, even longer if you can. And good luck, don't give up, you'll get there, stay positive. I brought all the goddesses in today. They're bringing you some positive energy. Okay, so namaste, thank you.